Y'all really thought that this guy right here, the best Saiyan to ever live, Gohan, was going to be in Dragon Ball Super Broly? You guys are hyped for this guy? Get this guy out of here, dude. He was not even mentioned, not even brought up. Just 0 out of 10 already for this movie. Nah, but I'm just kidding, guys. Gohan's not in this movie. A huge letdown, but hope you enjoy this video where I talk about the entirety of Dragon Ball Super Broly. Enjoy. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Huggy Face Gaming here, and it is finally time, guys. I have been waiting so long to make this video, but it is finally here. It is time to do my Dragon Ball Super Broly the movie review. Now, before I actually do start this video, what I want to talk about when it comes to this review has to deal with spoilers. I wanted to try so hard not to talk about spoilers for all of you guys who have not seen the film, because I know a lot of you guys have not seen the film. I know it was most likely pretty hard to go on the very first day, especially since it was a Wednesday at night. Like, who wants to go to the movies at Wednesday at night? But to talk about some of the issues I had with the movie, I do have to talk about spoilers, so please be warned that there are going to be spoilers within this review. Hopefully they're not major, but there are going to be some things I'm going to be talking about in terms of most likely the ending, because the ending was one of the things that I kind of didn't really like, but it was kind of whatevs for me. But obviously, you guys have been warned. If you do not want to be spoiled, I recommend clicking off this video now, doing yourself a favor, and going to watch this movie first, and then coming back and hear what I have to say, because maybe what you expected or you experienced is a lot different from what I experienced. But with that being said, let us get straight into this review, starting with the first segment of the movie. Now, obviously, the first segment of the movie was going to deal with the past of the Saiyans. We got a lot of stuff to do with King Vegeta, King Cold saying that he's retiring from leader. King Vegeta probably thought since he was retiring that they were not going to be under his rule no more, and that's when he said, nope, you guys are still going to be under control, but not of me, of my son Frieza. And the moment Frieza actually steps in is so amazing. He introduces the new scouters that we see within the OG Saiyan Saga from Dragon Ball Z, the scouters that you use to measure people's power level and stuff, and to demonstrate the scouters, he actually put it on and checked his surroundings, which he saw that there was, I believe, 3 snipers located around Planet Vegeta that had arms on Frieza. I was going to say Cell, on Frieza to actually take hit. And once Frieza saw this, obviously he eliminated those people to make sure that he himself is safe, and he looked at King Vegeta, who was obviously scared at this point. Like, Frieza literally obliterated the 3 men he had within seconds. Like, he really destroyed it, and it wasn't even like a small beam to kill the person. No, it was like legit a huge blast that almost broke buildings that he did to kill these Saiyans. So obviously King Vegeta was pretty scared, and then this obviously segmented to the next scene, which was him actually going into the space pods and seeing Prince Vegeta, who was in the main cell. Now, within this scene, we had 2 introductions, one of baby Vegeta as well as the other one being Broly. King Vegeta was actually mad that someone like Broly was within the same room, or almost like paired exactly with his baby son, baby Vegeta. He was really mad because he was saying that Vegeta should be the only one who has a really high power level, but all of the counselors around King Vegeta were stating that Broly has a huge untapped potential within him as a baby boy. Like, he was breaking the scouters that they actually had at that time, and even King Vegeta was being mad, and that's the reason why they actually shipped Broly away to a distant planet. Not because he was powerful, well, obviously because he was powerful, but because he wanted to see if this power was actually capable of surviving in a different planet. That's what he said. But then that's when Paragus came in, and he was like, oh, you're only shipping him away because you're scared, or you're actually jealous of my son for being stronger than King Vegeta. And that's when obviously Paragus flew out to get himself a pod with another Saiyan as well, to go to the distant planet that Broly was actually sent to to retrieve his son, which in my opinion, it kind of has to do with the original Broly. I'm really, really glad Akira Toriyama brought that whole thing within the original Dragon Ball Z Broly movies, in which King Vegeta actually wanted to kill Broly because his power level was stronger than his own son's. But obviously within this movie, he just sent him away rather than killing him. And then obviously we get to the planet. Paragus finds Broly. He sees that Broly managed to survive all of the monsters only because he was actually able to turn into a great ape. He was actually able to see that Broly turned into a great ape because all of his armor was actually expanded, meaning that he had transformed into the ape. I believe it was Paragus and the other Saiyan, which I don't know the other Saiyan's name. And they couldn't really leave that planet because they actually destroyed the sensors of the spaceship, so they only had food for like 10 days. And Paragus straight up even said, the only way we could survive this is like this. And he kills the other Saiyan, leaving just him and his son on that planet for until obviously those two Frieza Force members actually find Paragus and Broly. And then obviously we move on to the Bardock scenes, which a lot of people are really upset that they changed Bardock within this movie, because obviously the original Bardock was more of a character who only cared about himself, he cared about fighting and so on and so forth. Within this movie, we didn't get that type of Bardock. We got a different Bardock who actually cared about Goku. He was actually willing to sneak Goku out in a secret pod to get him away, because he knew within his mind that Frieza was up to something, especially most likely eradicating the Saiyans because of how powerful they were. Not necessarily because they were powerful, but he was actually scared of the legendary Super Saiyan or the Super Saiyan myth. So obviously, with that being said, Bardock told his wife Jean, he was like, we need to get Goku out of here because I'm scared that something's going to happen. And that's when Jean was like, oh, well, maybe it's just a myth, no one really cares. And Bardock's like, Frieza cares if he wants to destroy us for all of this that's happening. So obviously this is a different Bardock than we see within the Bardock father of Goku original story that a lot of us kind of anticipated since the dawn of time and whatnot. So it's a really different Bardock, but at the same time, that was one of the scenes that really caught me emotionally, because it's a father just giving up his son for a better future. And obviously at the end of that whole flashback and whatnot, we do get to see obviously Frieza throw that beam towards Planet Vegeta, and we do see Bardock actually attempt to kind of push back the blast, but that's the only fighting scene we really do get of Bardock before he gets consumed by the energy blast, which is a big transition from like exactly what happened within the original movie, which I'm really happy about. And then all of this moves on to obviously Nappa getting the reading that obviously Planet Vegeta was quote unquote destroyed by an asteroid. He goes to tell baby Vegeta, who's there, who's actually mad, saying that he can't be king no more because there's no more Saiyan race to actually rule over. And we even got to see baby Raditz there as well, being like confused, like, oh, it's a good thing we weren't on that planet, right? And for me, this scene was really, really funny. A lot of people in the theaters were laughing, but the thing that I did like is that they actually mentioned Tarble, which is Vegeta's brother. They said, don't you have a brother? And Vegeta said, yeah, but he's weak. They sent him to a faraway planet. And they asked Raditz the same thing, but Raditz didn't really care. He was like, oh, my brother was weak anyways. He's just a C-class warrior. He was sent to a planet called Earth. So it was really, really cool how they actually introduced both Tarble and Goku, with the brothers actually noticing that they were at a distant planet. And then from there, obviously, we just move on to the current timeline, which honestly, there wasn't really that much to learn about the current timeline. They just zoomed through all the sagas as Goku and Vegeta were fighting. So it was just Goku, Vegeta fighting in the exact area that they were. And in the background, it was just, the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga, Frieza's transformations, the Android saga. It was just amazing, the art, man. Like, these transitions were just super, super sick. But then obviously we just cut it to Whis actually asking Goku why he still wants to train, even though obviously the Tournament of Power barely ended. And Goku, being Goku, is just saying that he wants to fight stronger people. And then this leads to Goten and Trunks contacting Bulma. Now, when they actually contact Bulma, they're stating that someone trashed Bulma's lab. Now Bulma was actually asking, what was stolen within my lab, and they found out that Frieza's henchmen actually stole the Dragon Balls and the Dragon Ball radar. Now, luckily, Bulma only had 6 of the Dragon Balls at the time, but obviously with the Dragon Ball radar, they could easily locate the 7th Dragon Ball. But luckily, Bulma did know where exactly the 7th Dragon Ball was. It was in the Ice Continent, which we've seen a lot within the trailers. Bulma didn't want to go there because obviously it was too cold, and she didn't want to. It was funny because she was just stating that she didn't want to go there because it was too cold. She was just saving that for last and whatnot. And obviously they were just traveling to see where that last Dragon Ball was. Now within these segments, these were more of a comedy segment because Goku was asking Bulma why she wanted the Dragon Balls, and Bulma said that she wanted to wish to look 5 years younger because in her opinion she was getting too old. And then this segment's to Frieza, which they actually asked Frieza, why do you want to get the Dragon Balls? And he jokingly said he wanted to grow taller 5 centimeters. I don't know if that was actually a joke and that's exactly what he wanted, or if he was just playing with his henchmen because he didn't want to tell him the actual reason why he was getting the Dragon Balls. A lot of the people are saying, oh, are you going to wish for immortality? But he's saying no because it's not worth, living forever if you're just going to be losing all the time. And then they asked, oh, why don't you just ask the dragon to not take damage no more? And Frieza was just saying, oh, well, if I don't take damage no more, what's the fun of fighting? That's the point of fighting, so you can get damaged and you can learn from your mistakes and whatnot. And this is when we get the introduction to the 2 aliens. I can't remember their names for the life of me. I don't know why, but it's like the orange guy and the green girl. They were sent off by the Frieza Force to look for people with a high power level of over 1,000. For some reason, over 1,000 is pretty strong. And that's when they actually land upon the planet that Broly and Paragus are actually in. And this is when we actually get the introduction of grown-up Broly, which is extremely crazy because they were actually going to be attacked by an insect creature, and Paragus just screamed Broly's name, and Broly came in rushing. Like, he was really, really quick, and I was really glad to see like such character within him right off the bat to kind of give you that wow feeling. Like, this guy was really, really strong. Obviously, they took up Paragus as well because they actually recorded Paragus' power level through the scouter, and he had 4,200, whereas Broly was breaking their scouter. So they're really happy that they actually introduced these characters within them actually finding others. And then from here, they moved on to obviously Frieza's spaceship. Frieza was he was kind of confused as to what exactly, Paragus and Broly were until he saw that there were Saiyans because Paragus still had a tail. Broly, for some reason, didn't have a tail, but then Paragus explained that he cut off the tail because when Broly turned into the big ape, he couldn't control himself, which we will see later on that when Broly gets really, really angry and powerful, he really cannot control himself. His emotions, his feelings, nothing. Like, he cannot control anything. So obviously that's when we kind of learn more about Broly and his past as well as Paragus. And then obviously Frieza takes him up for them to be within his squad, which was pretty cool. But the main reason was because he wanted to see how strong Broly was and if Broly was actually capable of defeating both Goku and Vegeta, so he wouldn't have to, so he could have like a powerful henchman on his side that could do his bidding. And then we also get to learn something really, really cool that they actually implemented from the original Dragon Ball Z Broly, and that is the shock treatment. Now, within the shock treatment, we do get a scene as to what exactly the shock treatment is. Within Dragon Ball Z Broly, the necklace or the thing on his head, the headpiece, is what actually kept him from going berserk, and obviously Paragus had the thing around his arm to keep his power intact. Within Dragon Ball Super Broly, he has a necklace that gives apparently a small shock from a remote control. But obviously when Broly was attacking one of Frieza's henchmen, Paragus hit the switch and it was not a small burst. Like, it was really, really powerful. It almost knocked Broly unconscious. Like, he seems to be really scared of this device, and obviously the green girl actually managed to steal the remote and break it so Broly could be free from all of that. And then from that, he sees that they're not really bad people, the green girl and the orange guy, that he actually considers them friends. And then within one of the segments, he was actually telling them the meaning behind the thing around his waist. Now, the thing around his waist is just a character design that I thought was cool, but it actually has meaning. That green fur around his waist is actually an ear from an animal that he called Ba, which Ba was this one green kind of big dog that he used to train with, because obviously he kind of just seen it as a stray animal that tried to eat him, but after a while he just started to like the animal and the animal started to like him. Paragus didn't like the idea of Broly having friends, so he shot off the dog's ear, and that's how big this animal was. The thing around Broly's waist is not necessarily fur, it's actually the monster's ear, which is really, really crazy, and it's really sentimental to him, because even the girl was like, "Oh, why don't you take this off? It's smelly and gross." And Broly even got mad, saying, "I'm not going to take this off because it actually means something to me." So it was pretty cool to see some character development from Broly there. And then obviously we go on to the fight between Goku and Vegeta with Broly, which obviously it was Vegeta first and then Goku. The thing I don't like about these fights was the fact that they kind of pushed Goku to be the main guy again. Vegeta did have his moments, and honestly, the one thing I did like about these fights were the transformations. Like, they just transitioned into these transformations so beautifully. Like, Vegeta was just going from Super Saiyan, and he was just closing his eyes, concentrating, and then going to Super Saiyan Red or Super Saiyan God, whatever you guys would like to call it. It was just really amazing. And Goku did the same thing. Like, he was just standing still, closing his eyes, kind of concentrating, and then he turned Super Saiyan God as well. But for a lot of you guys who are wondering how strong Broly really is, within this movie, we get to see how strong he is base form. Within his base form, he's actually able to keep up with Super Saiyan Vegeta, like base form Super Saiyan Vegeta, which is crazy how strong that actually is. And obviously, right when he starts going berserk, that's when things start to kick up, because once he starts going berserk, that's when he's actually able to keep up with Super Saiyan God Vegeta. He's able to take his hits. He's not, getting overwhelmed by the power and whatnot. And obviously, Paragus tries to control Broly, but since the girl took his remote, he can't really shock Broly to put him back down, because he wanted the fight to end right when he couldn't, keep up with Super Saiyan anymore. Like, he wanted the fight to end. He was even telling Frieza that that's his limit. There's nothing else he could do. But since Broly kept going, he kept getting angrier and angrier. He just kept going and going. And then obviously, once he got into this really, really strong range, he just started to throw Goku everywhere. Like, this is some vicious stuff I've ever seen in Dragon Ball. Like, I was actually feeling bad for Goku. There are some points that they actually showed Goku's face and his eyes were white. Like, it looked like he was completely dead from how strong Broly was throwing him around. I felt really, really bad. And then obviously, once Goku was out, Piccolo was even stating, like, "What are you doing? Like, you you have to step things up. Like, this guy is way too powerful for you guys." And even Goku stated that he's going to try his best to kind of tame down Broly, and if he's not, he's going to have to use the final resort, which we'll get to later. And with this, obviously, Goku started to power up into Super Saiyan Blue, but in between Super Saiyan Blue, like I made the video previous, he actually tapped into Mastered Ultra Instinct. I don't know why he didn't go Mastered Ultra Instinct. I feel like if he would have went Mastered Ultra Instinct, the movie would have probably ended a lot faster and whatnot, so maybe that's why he didn't go Mastered Ultra Instinct. But he kind of just snapped out of Mastered Ultra Instinct and went straight into Super Saiyan Blue, and they kept on fighting from there, which was just extremely crazy because he just kept on fighting. And then he even saw that that was Broly's limit. Once Goku turned Super Saiyan Blue, Broly really couldn't keep up with him, because Goku, I don't know what's the difference between Goku and Vegeta. Like, Goku is a lot more calm when he was fighting, because he was actually able to tame Broly, look at his movements, and so on and so forth, something that Vegeta couldn't do. So that was really crazy. And then this is where things start to pick up, because Frieza asked Paragus, "Is this like Broly's actual limit now?" And even Paragus was stating, "I'm pretty sure this is his limit now." And then Frieza has flashbacks saying this can't be his limit. And he has flashbacks of obviously him killing Krillin, him hurting Piccolo. And he turns around to Paragus and he's like, "I'm gonna test something." And he like just shoots Paragus with a death beam through his heart, turns around and starts screaming at Broly, saying that one of the shockwaves that they were doing accidentally killed his father. And the whole audience within the movie was just laughing so hard, because they know that Frieza's just toying around trying to get Broly to get really, really mad. And with this, obviously, Broly does get out of control, which is a huge character development that we get to see, that Broly, even though his father was really, really bad to him, that Broly actually cares about his father. And from there, that's when he actually goes berserk and he turns into like the legendary Super Saiyan form, I guess you could call it. And from there on, he was just clapping cheeks, as my friends would say. He was just destroying Goku. He was destroying Vegeta. Like, both of them couldn't really do anything. Even Vegeta stepped in and he was saying that you're not going to be able to beat this guy alone. And both of them tried to actually keep up with Broly, but Broly was just too strong, which had to lead Goku to the last resort, which he moved Broly towards Frieza, and he was like, "You deal with him." And Frieza's like, "What? Like, why do I have to fight?" And even Frieza was getting his cheeks clapped throughout this movie. Like, he was getting beaten down really, really, really bad. And he even went to Golden Frieza, and even Golden Frieza really couldn't do much against this Berserk form Broly, which is crazy. And obviously, Goku did the teleport to Piccolo, and from there, they had to learn the fusion dance, which they messed up twice. The first one was the fat Gogeta, the second one was the actual skinny Gogeta. And then once they actually transformed into Gogeta, they were trying to come up with a name for Gogeta. They came up with a ton of different funny names that a lot of people were laughing about until they actually said, oh, we'll just stick with Gogeta. And from there, they went into the fight with Broly, and once they turn into Gogeta, guys, this is kind of where the movie just started to pick up really, really fast. The action was super, super quick. There's even some parts within this movie that broke dimensions. Like, they were in a separate dimension at one point. Like, the background was purple with glass breaking every hit they took. Like, it was just extremely beautiful, guys. Like, I absolutely recommend watching these scenes. They were just really, really good. But yeah, once Gogeta actually became part of the picture, there is nothing for Broly anymore. Broly was literally just getting thrown around by Gogeta. Gogeta Blue is that strong that he was actually able to just dominate Broly for the rest of the fight. And obviously, that's when Gogeta was setting up for the Kamehameha. He threw the Kamehameha and Broly disappeared. Now, the reason why Broly disappeared was because of the green girl. The green girl actually wished for the Dragon Ball for Shenron to appear, and she wished for Broly to be sent back to his home planet, saving him from being defeated, which was, I feel like that's kind of like a letdown, because you kind of want to see who was going to win, even though you kind of knew that Gogeta was the victor once the the fight actually started. And then obviously from there, Goku this is like at the very end of the movie. You know, obviously the green girl and the orange guy are with Broly. They're surviving on that planet. Goku appears saying that he has some capsules for them because he wants them to actually see him as an ally. But at the same time, the girl's like, oh, we're not going to see you as an ally. We're not going to like be friends with every Saiyan we meet, because obviously Paragus was kind of like a bad guy, right? So obviously Goku gave him some capsules that gave him a house, food, shelter. He gave him senzu beans. He gave him 2 senzu beans, saying that if they ever got hurt or injured, to eat the senzu beans and they will recover his strength. And he was just basically stating that he doesn't really care if they don't see him as an ally. He just wants to come by once in a while to actually fight with Broly, to train Broly, because he even stated that Broly might be as strong as Beerus. Now, that's a huge assumption, saying that someone like Broly is actually as strong as Beerus, because obviously Beerus is the god of destruction. He's like the top being of Universe 7. But throughout this movie, we did get to see that Broly really was that strong. He was actually able to, fend off both Goku and Vegeta in their Super Saiyan Blue forms. It took him fusion to actually beat him. So this guy, like, individually, he's pretty strong, which is why hopefully we get to see a Broly versus Jiren one day, because I really want to see how strong these two are, especially with Broly training with Goku and Jiren training with the other Pride Troopers, because we did get to see at the end of Dragon Ball Super that he's actually able to open up to all of the Pride Troopers and Toppo, so maybe he's stronger now. But obviously at the end of the movie, the girl says, what's your name anyways? And this is where it caught everyone off guard, because he's like, oh, my name is Goku, but Broly, you can call me Kakarot. Now, if I recall correctly, Goku never ever states his name to be Kakarot. He never accepts that Saiyan name. He always says, I'm Goku, I'm Goku, I'm a Saiyan from Earth, I'm Goku. He never once said, my name is Kakarot. So it's crazy how they actually made him say that. It's just overall just a weird feeling, but obviously that's all of Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now, within this film, obviously, for me, on my Snapchat, I said it was 100 out of 10, and I do mean it. This movie is really, really good. Story-wise, it gives you emotion. I thought it was going to be a serious movie, but it's funny, beginning to end. Just overall, a really, really good movie, and hopefully you guys can go experience this movie. This was kind of my review, going over everything that happened. Like I'm saying, my overall rating is 5 stars for this movie, 100 out of 10. It's a must-watch. In my opinion, one of the best actual Dragon Ball Super movies to ever come out. Ever. Like, this actually beats everything I've ever seen before. So hopefully you guys actually take some time to actually watch this movie. This was just kind of like my review, simple review. One thing that I didn't really like, obviously, was the ending. a lot of mysteries to be solved, because when they showed the baby Vegeta scene, there was two Saiyans there with him, so there was like a total of five Saiyans: Nappa, Vegeta, Raditz, and two other Saiyans. I kind of want to know what happened to those two other Saiyans. For some reason, it's still in my mind what happened to those Saiyans, and just the 3D effects that they actually added within the movie as well. Hopefully for future movies they kind of diet down, because I wasn't a really big fan of the 3D kind of models that they were doing. Obviously, like in Battle of Gods, it was okay because it was just like for a short scene. I'm pretty sure Resurrection have had short scenes as well, but for this movie, there's like a huge focus for 3D scenes, and hopefully they could diet down and just keep it to like drawing and animation wise. But that's kind of like my take on it. I'm pretty sure you guys have different takes on it as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and this long review. It was a pretty long review, kind of going over all the points that I kind of liked within the movie. Hopefully I get to watch it again. Hopefully I get to buy a physical copy of this film, because it was something that I really did enjoy. I've been waiting for this movie since March of last year, when they actually showcased the first teaser trailer for it. So I'm kind of glad I got to see it in theaters with my friends, kind of get that hype, everyone in the theater chanting, everyone in the theater laughing, clapping. It was just a really, really great way to start off 2018 by watching this film. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. What did you guys have to say? If you guys saw the Broly movie, what did you think? How would you rate it? What were some things that you liked? What were some things that you didn't like? And with that being said, guys, there will be more videos of Broly in the near future, because this film just brings out so this movie brings out so many different kind of aspects that you could talk about Dragon Ball Super, where it's going to be going, some differences between characters, some main focuses, some character development that you could actually talk about. So I will be uploading more videos about this movie. It's not just going to be this one review and I'm done. There is going to be more content on this movie. If you guys have any suggestions, make sure to leave in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe, because there will be future content on Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball as it continues. Hopefully you guys stick around for all of that when it actually comes out, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.